Hey, welcome in on this week's edition of CI Sideline Stories. We're going to go heavy on high school sports this week. It is a very busy week. We've got state cross country, we have state soccer, we have volleyball sectionals, we have the second round of the football playoffs. It's a crazy week, and girls basketball practice started this week. To top things off, we're going to hear from Kim Barth, the head coach of the Washington Panthers, who finished third at state 1 year ago. The Panthers bring back all 5 starters, really their top 7 players, and a freshman phenom on the floor right now for Washington. So the expectations are very high for Kim Barth and her team, and we'll hear from Coach Barth a little bit later on. And we're going to talk with Adam Duvall, the very fine Peoria Journal-Star prep sports reporter, about all the other stuff going on: football, cross country, soccer, and volleyball. It's a very busy week, and it's kind of fun as far as that's concerned if you cover high school sports. My name is Kurt Pegler. Welcome to our CIProud.com and CI Sideline Stories podcast. Again, it's a weekly podcast where we get a chance to kind of sink our teeth into some longer form interviews and bring you up to speed with what's going on. We give you a little bit more time than what I get for a 3 or 3.5 minute sportscast. So again, we're going to talk high school sports, and we bring in our friend Adam Duvall from the Journal-Star. He's been in our studios before. Hey, if you're a high school sports fan, if you're a high school sports reporter, this is a crazy week, isn't it? When you talk about the second round of the football playoffs, state soccer, state cross country, sectional volleyball. I mean, I know we're all on fumes right now, but it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Well, first, Kirk, I just want to say that does this mean I'm a recurring guest on your
Yes.
your podcast? Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
you are the first 2-time guest. How does that sound?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Recurring guest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're not kidding. It is a crazy, crazy week. Girls basketball practice starts, and then you have football, you have volleyball, you have soccer, you have cross country. Sectional girls swimming on Saturday as well. You just have just a little bit of everything of this fall sports, and then Monday we turn around and boys basketball season starts.
I know. This is the time of the year, late October and early November, where it all kind of bleeds into one another. But this is kind of where the important games, the important meets, the important everything is being played. And we're going to go heavy with high school football in this first segment. I think the game that everybody's talking about here in Central Illinois is Morton at Peoria High Saturday night in a second-round playoff game. I know that you're going to be working that game. This is going to be a fun game. There's some Peoria High connections on both sides, obviously. With Peoria High, you've got a lot of their coaches who were around in 2016 for that state championship team, and 2 of those coaches are now working at Morton. So it's like a family reunion with these 2 teams playing, isn't it?
Yeah, Morton head coach Adam O'Neill, he was the defensive coordinator on that 2016 team, and that's what the Potters have really hung their hat on this year, especially. You look at what they did in the first round, and they're defensive heavy, and we're gonna see that on Saturday.
Let's talk about the Peoria High playoffs run right now. I mean, they closed the year with an impressive win over Normal Community. And Aaron Montgomery thought that his playoffs started like in week 7, and they're playing like they've been playing in the playoffs for a couple of weeks right now.
That Normal Community win was very, very impressive. And Peoria High, the offensive coordinator, Asa Lewis, he does a great job. They're averaging, close to 53 points a game. But you look at the last 3 games, and they've allowed 14 points in each of those 3 games, and that's what they're really starting to do is make a concerted defensive effort, and have been very effective, and to hold a Normal Community team to 14 points in week 9 was definitely a step in the right direction. Good momentum for the Lions heading into the playoffs.
And I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Potters. They lose their starting quarterback early in the season, and yet they are now in a second-round playoff game after missing the postseason, a year ago. So this has been an impressive run, too, for what Adam O'Neill's done there in Morton, right?
Absolutely. You look at a guy like Silas Steffen, who has been able to do just a little bit of everything. You can line him up in the slot, you can line him up wide, you can line him up in the backfield, and then defensively, I mean, he really kind of that game against Dunlap, where they won by 1 point, he really kind of put the clamps on Max Sutter, and that's goes back to what I originally said about Adam O'Neill. They hang their hat on defense, and you're going to get that when you play Morton.
All right, 7 o'clock Saturday night at Peoria Stadium. It's kind of a standalone game, so there ought to be a nice crowd. This game deserves to have a big crowd and to have a lot of fun with it, I would think.
I think so. I think the last time that a Middle Illini team went to the stadium and played Peoria High was Metamora a few years ago, and that was a great crowd, and it ended up being a good game until it ended. But yeah, I think Morton always travels well, and I fully expect to see those visitors bleachers filled.
All right, you worked the Pekin Dunlap game in the first round of the playoffs on Friday. The Eagles finally get a home game. It seems like every year that they make the playoffs recently, they've had to go on the road. Now they will go on the road after beating the Potters. After beating Pekin, and they're going to play at Crete Monee. What do you like? What do you see from the Eagles right now?
I think really for Dunlap is the last 2 years ended in playoff heartbreak for him. They had lost first round games in 2023 and 2024 by 1 point each time. And now the guys that have experienced that have now experienced a win. And their quarterback Truman Tyra, he's been phenomenal this year for a kid to come in who didn't think he was going to be the starting quarterback until Johnny Bargan transferred to Indiana with the hiring of his dad at Indiana University basketball, and for him to come in and run and pass and do as well as he has two great backs in Jaden Schmick and Blake Dietz and then obviously Max Sutter. He's the Alabama commit. He's you can line him up pretty much anywhere, and he's going to be effective. And that's what we saw in the first round against Pekin.
On the road again for Dunlap in week 2 of the playoffs at Crete Monee. How about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? I know that you're going to cover their game against Lombard Montini on Saturday. They have quietly put together an 8-game winning streak. This has to be the quietest 8-game winning streak in the entire state, and they finally have a home game. This is going to be their first home playoff game in 10 years, but they have put themselves in position to play the number 1 seed, and there's a lot of momentum right now with the Irish, right?
I like what the Irish have to do with their rushing attack. Blake Maxwell, Dallas Harder, Ben Lutz. They're proven to be road warriors. I mean, if you remember last year, they went to Rochester in the first round and beat Rochester on a field goal, or a field goal tied it by Lawson Allwyn, and then they got a blocked. I think Lawson blocked the kick in overtime. But this is 3 years in a row that they've gone on the road and gotten a playoff victory. They're playing at home. The old we got nothing to lose, playing the reigning 3A state champs who are now in 4A. Anything can happen with the playoffs, and the Irish are playing just about as well as anybody.
Yeah, a lot of confidence right now for Pat Armstrong's team. You saw a game on Saturday in the first round of the playoffs with Farmington. Unbeaten Farmers had to survive. They block a field goal at the end of the game to protect the lead and to win that game, and now they've got a second-round home playoff game. Tell us about the psyche right now with the Farmers. I know you did some interviews after the game. Sometimes it takes a game like this to kind of get a team going, but I'm not sure any of us expected that game to be so low scoring and so close, right?
No, I agree. In talking to Farmington coach Toby Vallis, their star wide receiver, North Dakota commit, Jack Gronwald. I mean, that opening drive, Farmington just marched down. Gronwald capped it off, and then after that, it was unfortunately a lot of them shoot themselves in the foot, penalties, just not really what you expect from Farmington. But you have to give Eastland, Pearl City credit. I mean, they were hard hitting. They play in that, up in the Northern Illinois Conference with, Lee Wynn and Stockton and all those teams. And, the Farmers got a heavy dose of that type of football. But I think they're confident. They play Aurora Christian team that has a really good quarterback. He's a kid who's going to Northern Illinois. Former NFL guy Don Beebe, his son David Beebe is the head coach. They're coming to Farmington. We'll see what the poise of their freshman quarterback, Farmington's freshman quarterback Carson Norrie, can do, and Jack Gronwald, you expect him to touch the ball, 20, 25, maybe even more, just based on his physical gifts.
Yeah. Going to be a fun week as far as high school football is concerned. And the first week was okay. It was good. It was fun. But I think this week, really, I mean, with these matchups, this is going to be a really fun week too, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Metamora going to Morris. This is the 7th time that these programs will meet in the postseason. They met in a title game more than a few years ago. But, yeah, just two traditional teams. Washington's at home against another traditional team, Muhammad Seymour. Yeah, lots of great, tradition-laden matchups here in the second round. On the small school side, DMAC and Anawan Weathersfield, another great, matchup. So, yeah, the second round will be, if you're a football fan in Central Illinois, you have plenty to choose from on Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of good options. Okay, we're going to take a break. As we mentioned at the top of the show, there's more than football going on. It's the same week for state cross country. It's the biggest week of the year for state cross country. We've got volleyball to talk about, and we've got a soccer team from Washington is at state for the first time in school history. So we've got volleyball, soccer, and cross country straight ahead. Stay tuned. This is the CI Sideline Stories podcast. Back in just a moment. And welcome back to our CI Sideline Stories. Kurt Pegler talking now with Adam Duvall as we continue our conversation about what's going on in sports this week. High school sports is a busy week. We kind of set the table for you for week 2 of the high school football playoffs, but we've also have state cross country, we have sectional volleyball, we have state soccer, and we're going to talk about all 3 of these subjects. Let's start, Duvie, with the volleyball situation. Boy, what's going on in Washington right now? They're involved in all of this stuff. They've got a soccer team at state. They've got a football team hosting the playoffs. They've got boys and girls cross-country teams going to state. And they've got a volleyball team right now that is on a roll and is going to be playing for a sectional championship on Thursday. This has been a fun week to be a Washington Panther, right?
Absolutely. Regardless of what type of fan you are, soccer, football, volleyball, like you said, it's a good week to be a Panther. And, the volleyball team is – started last week by the upsetting, Limestone there. In fact, they've only upset. That's what the 3 matches that Washington have won. They've all been upsets. I think they're the 5th seed, but they'll have a tall task with LaSalle Peru tomorrow or on Thursday night, and I fully expect Josie O'Brien in the middle and Carly Dawson on the outside to really, keep them in that match.
Yeah, they'll have to play a great match, but we've had to say that for 2 weeks, that they would have to play their best, and it seems like right now they're playing their best volleyball of the year.
No question. I mean, this has kind of the shades of about 10 years ago. Their softball team went on a run with Maddie McCoy as their ace in the circle when she was a junior, and this kind of has that same feeling. Is like, okay, the old adage, iron sharpens iron, and playing in the Middle Illini, playing the schedule that they do, that seems to have, held true with the Panthers this season.
And the Morton Potters are still alive, so good representation from the Middle Illini Conference. And they've got a big matchup with normal U-High on Thursday. Those 2 teams met a couple of weeks ago. U-High 1-3, but this is a battle of heavyweights in volleyball in a sectional championship match.
Yeah, I think one thing that gets overlooked with Morton volleyball is the fact that they were here. I'm sorry, they were here. They were in this sectional title game 2 years ago. They went to state. They went on to state. They finished 4th. They had 8 sophomores and freshmen on that team. Got to experience, practicing for a sectional championship, winning a sectional championship, preparing for a super sectional. winning a super sectional, going to SEFQ Arena and playing there. Players like Claire Cerisa and Rebecca Stock and Abby Van Meenen. Those players were a part of that 2023 team that went to state. So they're experienced. They've won 24 of their last 25. That lone loss in there is to Normal U High, who is I think is on a 26 match winning streak.
Yeah.
And they met at over in Bloomington Central Catholic at the Fall Classic, and U High won that in 3. Other than that, just fully expect a heavyweight fight.
Yeah. Tremont's still alive. Notre Dame is still alive. There's a lot going on as far as volleyball is concerned. The volleyball in our area has been very good. The cross country in our area has been excellent, and this is state cross country meet. You and I have both covered scores and scores of this meet. I always tell people if you haven't been to the state meet, you got to go. You got to experience it. And this year we could be having some trophies and some medals passed out to area runners. We're poised to have a big day on Saturday at the state cross country meet.
No question. And I'm in agreement with you 100%. Even if you're not a fan of cross country, if you've never gone to a meet, make it a point sometime to go. Go early. First race is at 9 a.m. But we have in 1A, the El Paso Gridley girls, they could trophy. 1A boys, Eureka, they ran without, they rested their top runner at sectionals, and Elmwood Brimfield won that sectional. So look for Eureka. In 2A, we got Maxwell Kirby from Peoria Notre Dame. We have Lillian Chaddick from Peoria Notre Dame, freshman phenom. Washington, also in 2A, look for the girls to take a trophy there, potentially the boys as well. It's just top to bottom, Central Illinois running, when you go to Detweiler, and there's been plenty of meets on Detweiler this year, it just kind of changes your mentality, changes how you run. And it's a historic 3-mile course. I think I put that in my writing a lot. A historic 3-mile Detweiler Park. They've hosted the state meet for 55 years.
Yeah.
And what other facility can claim that?
Yeah, everybody in the state wants to be in Peoria this weekend if you're a runner. They come down here during the regular season. They run Detweiler at dark in the summertime. It's all to get here Saturday. And you're right, you're going to see the top of the line runners, and the leaves are changing. It's just a wonderful, really championship venue, right? You can't, if you haven't been there, you just have to go and experience it.
And when the race goes towards 29, and the fans, it's just a big wave. The fans just run across the course to cheer them on, and then run back, coming up the hill, and there's the triangle there where they run in the trees. It's can't stress it enough. It's a historic course.
Yeah, go Saturday, get there early, have fun. First race is at 9 o'clock. All right, Saturday we also could be having a state champion as far as an area team is concerned. The Washington Panthers are at state soccer for the first time. They've got a semifinal date with Rock Island on Friday in Hoffman Estates, and should they win that game, they would play for a state championship on Saturday. They've already played Rock Island, beat them 3-0 earlier in the year. The Panthers right now, I don't know what's in the water in Washington right now, but things are special in Washington right now.
No one is playing better soccer right now than Washington. I think they just tied a state record for the most shutouts in a season with 26, and that's on the back of their freshman goalkeeper, Owen Wetstein.
Oliver Wetstein, yeah.
Oliver. He hasn't allowed a goal in postseason. He's a freshman.
Right.
He hasn't allowed a goal in postseason. Hudson Scrivener has had a remarkable year, 42 goals I think he has, and you kind of saw shades of this from last year. They went to a sectional final and lost 1-0 to Peoria Notre Dame there, and since then, they're 28-1 and 1, and I would say they're the favorite. They knocked off Belleville Althoff in the Super. They were the reigning state champs, and they had 14 seniors on that team. And Washington pretty much handle them. So I fully expect Washington to be hoisting that big trophy on Saturday afternoon.
All right, rest up. Rest up. This is a crazy week, but it could be a really historic week in Central Illinois with all that's going on.
Absolutely. There's lots of new state champs, potential repeat state champs. Saturday, you have a full slate of playoff football, from early afternoon to 7 o'clock at night with Peoria High and Morton. There's a lot of good sports happening, starting tomorrow night with sectional titles in volleyball through the weekend.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for making time in this busy week to come by and connect the dots for us in high school sports, all right?
Absolutely. I know I'll be seeing you out there.
Yeah. All right, that's Adam Duvall, Peoria Journal-Star. As we wrap up our second segment here of CI Sideline Stories, a busy week of high school sports, but an exciting one. We're going to talk with Kim Barth, the head coach of the Washington girls basketball team. Yeah, they're in the mix too. They started practice this week with a team that has 5 starters back from a third-place team 1 year ago. Expectations are high for the Panthers, and we'll talk with Kim Barth as our Central Illinois Sideline Stories continues. Welcome back to CI Sideline Stories. My name is Kurt Pegler here at the WMBD studios. We've been talking high school sports with Adam Duvall in a busy, busy week. We mentioned it's state cross country, it's state soccer, it's volleyball sectionals, and it's the second round of the state football playoffs. Sectional swim meet is on Saturday as well around the state of Illinois. But it's also the start of the girls' basketball season. They've quietly started a couple of weeks of practice before they'll begin games, and the expectations are very high in Washington, where the Panthers bring back 5 starters from a third-place team last year at state, a team that won 36 games. They've added a freshman phenom in Kate McDougal. This is a team that's probably going to make a deep run, you would think, in February and might be playing again at CEFCU Arena in Normal at the state championships. We had a chance to talk with Kim Barth. They had a 5:30 a.m. practice to start on Monday. Part of that was because the volleyball team is still playing and they share space with them. So we talked with Kim Barth about what is ahead for her Washington Panthers this year, motivating her team, the expectations and all that. And again, starting the season with a 5 a.m. practice.
Well, volleyball won, which is fantastic. I'll continue to have early practices if that's what it keeps for them, takes for them to keep winning. But yeah, I think it adds a little bit of toughness to us too. And they all embraced it, and we had a great first practice. So I'm proud of them, very proud of them.
They're used to morning practice.
Yeah,
right?
they're in my 5:30 a.m. club, so they're used to it. They like this morning stuff. So maybe they didn't get as many shots up as they're used to, but they got some running, so it'll be good.
This team is hungry, correct?
I would say they're very hungry. They're starving. They are. I think last year gave us a little taste of what is possible. And the Monday after the state tournament, I had kids knocking on my door like, when are we starting open gyms? When can I get in the gym and shoot? They're just unreal kids that know what they want, and they're going to work really hard to get there. We have to really work on our mental game. I think that the target on our back, the pressure that's going to be on these kids is going to be a lot different than last year. I remember the first week we were ranked number 1 in the state, and we all laughed because we were like, we're not there, like we're not. And we went throughout the season with that on our back, but I think it's a different target this year. I think that we've learned lessons in the off season. We've watched a lot of film. We've learned about ourselves and what our strengths and what our weaknesses are as a staff and as players. And I think that we're more mature and we're ready to take that next step.
But you're going to have a target again.
Oh yeah, our schedule is tough. It's very tough. Our target is probably 4 times as big as last year. And I just tell them, embrace the target, use it as motivation every day, and just come and win every day, 1-0 every day. That's all we have to be is 1-0 every day.
This group kind of likes the target, it sounds like.
I think they do. I think they like the pressure. I think pressure makes diamonds. That's what I always say. And I have a bunch of diamonds on this team. They're great kids. So I think they can handle it. I think they're going to do great things in life. And this is just preparing these kids for that down the road.
It's such a long season, right? It's a journey. You can't get too high in
Yep.
November
Yep.
because you want to be peaking in March. How do you ride that?
So we always say games aren't won in March, they're won in November. So we are working really hard in November so then we can get better every day till we get to where we want to play in March. But we know that any day if we don't bring our best, especially when it comes to January, February, that can be the end. So I think that we're just going to embrace every day, work as hard as we can, and be playing at our best when it matters most.
How do you motivate this group? You've been around them 4 years and longer than that. Some of
I don't.
these kids have been coming to your camps when they were in 6th grade.
Oh, fourth, third grade. I mean, I remember when Avery Tibbs came to my camp. Her name was Tibbs. I didn't even know what her real name was till she was probably in high school. But I don't have to motivate them. Honestly, they motivate me to keep going. Being a mom and a coach is the hardest thing I've ever done. But coming to be with these kids, it's a family. They love my family. I love their families. It's just one big group of, we're motivating each other. So I think they motivate me to go harder, push harder, and do more. So they're just great kids.
These first couple of weeks before you even play a game can be hard and long and boring. But
Oh, yeah.
how do you get those? You got to get there to start somehow.
So we still focus on having fun. We think competing is fun, so we do a lot of competition and things like that. We're conditioning. I mean, we want to be in the best shape we've ever been in, so we're pushing them in those ways, but we still want to have fun. Like, we'll go to the volleyball game, we'll go to the soccer game, we'll go to a Bradley game. So we're doing things outside of basketball practice just to continue to build those bonds and grow as a group.
Do they talk about state this early in the season? Do they think about what happened last year?
Oh, we talk about what happened last year, but we know that nothing's guaranteed. You're going to earn every ounce of everything to get there. I know what their end goal is. I think everybody probably in Central Illinois knows what their end goal is, but we're just worried about today, and we'll figure out tomorrow as it comes.
Starting the season at home in the TOC is pretty cool, isn't it?
It's awesome. The TOC is something that is so near and dear to my heart with Coach Brown, and we're going to play a great team from Iowa. And just playing here on our home floor, our new home floor, which I think is awesome. I'm just so excited for these kids. And it's a great atmosphere that prepares you for things like State Farm, postseason, and things like that. Those big, loud crowds, they make us a little uncomfortable, I think, and that makes you grow. So we're looking forward to that. Well, and our community has been fantastic. The following with the grade schools, the travel teams, all the community members this past year. When I walked out to SEFCU, I almost say Redbird, it's hard for me to call it SEFCU, and I saw the sea of orange. That's a core memory that I will never forget, and I don't think our kids will either. So we're hoping to start where we finished and have that group back to support us, and I really do think we will.
Good luck to the Washington Panthers. They've got a lot on their plate here. Boy, it's a big week in Washington with soccer and volleyball and girls basketball and football all happening. All right, thanks for being with us as we talked high school sports. We'll see you next time on our Central Illinois Sideline Stories.